Okay, so it's just 4:01 and we're just beginning the meeting. And today present is Christine Marglin, Christine Robinson, Ann Brigham, Barbara Bigelow, and BZ Riley. Sam should be here, and Elaine wrote to say that she will not be able to come today. We actually have, and here's Sam. Fantastic. Okay. So, hi, Sam. She's also on the connecting to audio bumping list. Oh, there you are. Hi. Great.
Hi.
Hello. So first, call the meeting to order. For the minutes, is there any discussion of the minutes from our last meeting?
Nope.
If not, can someone, hi, BZ, move to approve the minutes? And do we have a second to that?
I second.
And all those in favor, raise your hand. And so it's that it's unanimous. Thank you. And for those who just came in, Elaine is just getting back from her trip, and so she is not going to be joining us today. So we have a pretty short agenda. I'm actually going to start off with something that is implied in the agenda but isn't explicit, and that is an update on our first walk. It was fantastic. It was absolutely fantastic. We went over to Ames Pond. We avoided the area where they're working on the boardwalk. There was still plenty of trails and things to see. We started off thinking it was going to take about an hour, but Graham had so much really interesting information to share, and people were asking so many questions, and people were so enthusiastic about the whole thing that it ended up at some point he stopped and said, we could turn around now and it'll be closer to 1 hour, or we could keep going. Oh, keep going, keep going. So we kept going, but he knows so much about the history of the place and the flora and the fauna. And it was just, everybody had a nice time. So I think we've got a real winner here as something to do going into the future. Our next walk will be again at Ames Pond, but we'll wait until after the boardwalks are ready to go. So we'll be able to walk right along the edge of the pond.
How many people were there, Barbara?
15. We had quite a waiting list. So we capped it at 15.
Would he do
And
it again?
pardon?
Will he do it again so we can add some people that couldn't be able to make it?
We were actually going to ask somebody else to do the spring one, but we could ask him again too. I'm trying to remember. I think one of the people was actually, I believe they're married. Helen Ann? Is that?
Helen Ann, yeah, that's his wife, yeah.
Yeah. So Elaine was going to be lining someone up to do the spring walk. And I gather that her knowledge is as deep and as complete as his knowledge. So
I would say greater than.
oh, well then we'll have to plan 3 hours. Because it was.
She's quite a birder, so if you go walking with her, she hears a bird, she knows exactly what it is, which is
that'll be cool. Yeah,
so fun.
that'll be very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
An added bonus.
And what?
An added bonus on your
Yeah,
walk.
absolutely. And the other thing that was really nice was there were two couples who came who were very new, like within the last few months. So it was a nice opportunity for people to kind of mingle and chat. It was an extremely pleasant afternoon. It was kind of muddy. We were really afraid we were going to have to cancel it again because of the rain. And we decided that if it was drizzling, we would go. And if it was pouring rain, we would cancel and we would not be rescheduling. And it was fine. It was kind of overcast, but there wasn't any rain. And, I got to meet some new people, which was really nice. So this is a very, very easy thing for us to do, to organize. And I will be anxious to see how this next one goes, but given our waiting list, my guess is that we will have no problem filling it.
Cool.
Yeah, so that's the report on the first walk. The other thing that was on the agenda is we have these other events that are going to be coming up, and I'd really like to start nailing down dates. So I was hoping to hear from those of you who are talking with people to see whether or not you've had that conversation, and if not, can you have that conversation within the next couple, 3 weeks? Because we're coming up to the end of March already. Yeah, Christine?
So I talked to Tom
Yes.
and he gave me these dates. He said April 27th,
Mhm.
May 4th, 11, 18, and 25.
Okay. Well,
Then
that's really nice of him to be so generous with this, with that. Okay.
Remind me, what are you asking him to do? What are we asking him to do?
the astronomy class at his
Oh,
house.
okay. I was
Yeah.
thinking the guy at the high school, I mean, at the elementary school, so.
Yeah. And then we had talked to him about doing, and he suggested it, doing 2 nights. So it'll be 2 separate nights, which will be fun to see how the stars change between those. Well, unless there's any objection, I don't think of the other events that we're looking at. I would go for the earlier of the dates. So 4/27 and 5/4.
So the thing he explained as well regarding the moon. So the 27th, there's no moon,
Mhm.
or the 4th. The moon will be on the 11th and the 18th. And the 18th is the last quarter, so it's on its way to being full. And he said to keep in mind that you don't want to go out there when it's completely dark,
Mhm.
that he thinks we should have people arrive early so that they can see the sun go down. He thought
Mm.
that would be cool. So he's thinking like 7:40. Also, he said to tell people to bring caps and gloves because it gets cold, to dress warm, bring a chair, a blanket, if that's something they want. And also, maybe carpool at the town hall or walk over to his house. I don't know, like, if that's going to be safe for families, because he's only like three houses behind the church.
Oh, okay. Well, things worked out pretty well with carpooling for the walk.
Yeah.
Limited places, and so a bunch of us met behind the town hall, and actually that was really nice because, a bunch of people got in this car and none of us knew each other, and by the time the whole thing was done, we did know each other. So the carpooling worked really well, and I just obviously organized that ahead of time. I asked people if they'd be willing to do it. So once we know from him what he wants to put in terms of a cap on the number of people.
He said, I think he said, right now he doesn't know yet how much he's even going to charge. I said, well, how long of a slot of time? He goes, when the last person leaves.
Okay.
So he does not want to quote a price yet.
Okay.
Like,
So
I told him I was going to bring this to the meeting, and then when I talk to him, maybe he'll have a price or whatever.
right. Well, what we had talked about giving people was, I forget if it was $200 or $250 to each of the presenters. So I don't know whether or not we ought to offer that price to him, because if he comes back saying it's $1,000, well, we can't do it.
I
On
don't
the
think he
other hand, if
would.
he's coming in, I don't want him to underprice himself. So maybe when you talk to him, just say, this is what we've been paying people, and how does that sound to him?
Okay, 250
250, yeah.
for the 2
There's
days.
Yeah, I'm trying to think how much money we actually have. I think we have plenty to go offer. So $500 for him. Yeah, I would think that we could offer him 250 for 250 per night for each of the evenings.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that was the amount that Marianne said that they offered to people.
Okay.
Christine, did you say if he if he stated a maximum number of people who could be there?
It's at his house. So, I will get that information from him.
Great, because as soon as we have the date nailed down and we get a little closer to it, we would want to know what the cap is. So basically,
do-
first come, first serve.
Sorry, did you want me to nail him down for those days, or like what days should I tell him?
Well, we're going to need to nail it down because we have other things that we'll be scheduling. And so I'm trying to pick up from what you're saying is whether which ones he recommends. I mean, it sounds like he thinks some of these are better than others. So I'd rather he was doing the picking than that we were doing the picking.
He said the 11th and the 18th are the ideal days.
Oh, then let's make it the 11th and the 18th.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. Sounds good.
Is this co-sponsored with the library?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. And Marianne said that she would take care of getting people signed up for it. So
Oh,
once we have that capacity. Okay, so that works out well then, the 511. Great. Thank you very much, Christine. That's,
Thank you, Christine.
yeah. I think the bird watching, that's Elaine, so I think I will just talk with her separately from our meeting, just to kind of get her so that in our April meeting, I know that one, the bird watching was going to be in mid-May were the dates for that. And the nice thing about this being in the evening is that, worst comes to worst, we end up having an evening and an afternoon thing planned on the same day. But given that I think there's a lot of people who'll be interested, that's not the end of the world. So that leaves us with mushrooms. And my memory of mushrooms was that we wouldn't schedule that until all danger of frost was over. Is that correct? Is there anybody, BZ, were you doing that?
Yeah, I haven't been able to find anybody who wants to do it.
Oh, well, then that may take care of that one. Okay.
Yeah, it because I think for one reason there's an initial cost of you have to buy the spores, and the spores are then grown on the little wooden plugs. And if you didn't know how many, and that has to happen like 6 weeks before you put the plugs into the log.
Right.
You see what I mean? There's sort of a like, well, if we don't know how many people are coming, and then the person who's doing it has to put out a fair amount of money to buy the spores and the plugs and have the right environment to do it. So I don't know if it's actually going to work for our situation,
Mhm.
because it's people aren't willing to sort of like say, oh yeah, I'd be happy to show people, but I've got to do all the infrastructure before. I mean, maybe if people weren't expecting to go home with a log.
They're not. I thought what we had talked about was that we were going to give kind of an introduction to what it takes for people to decide if it's something that they wanted to do, but that
Yeah.
because, yeah,
But anyway, I haven't found anybody who's willing to do
well,
it. So
okay,
the other,
yeah. Well, thank you for checking. And if we don't, we don't. I don't think we have
yeah, I
any.
mean, maybe somebody will come up. I keep meaning to ask Marianne. There was a young woman who moved to town in the last couple of years who presented herself as a mushroom expert. And she was taking people on mushroom walks. Now, whether she did the shiitake logs, I don't know. But I could ask Marianne about her. But I sort of have the feeling she didn't do that. She did.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
I
mean,
actually think I know who you're talking about.
Hmm?
I think her name's Jess Benson. She used
oh,
to be
okay.
my
There you
neighbor.
go.
Yeah. But I also know that the serious community like already does grow mushrooms.
Yeah.
And like I'm sure they have a day that they do that. I don't know if that would be a group to ask if
Yeah.
just
I
if
don't know
people are just
anybody there.
walking.
Do
Yeah.
you know anyone there who could
Yeah, I know people I could ask.
yeah, just ask who to ask,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
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 The two people that I know weren't available to do it
Mhm.
because they just had too much going on. But it is something we could keep pursuing. And fall is sort of the prime mushroom
Mhm.
time. The shiitakes you can do anytime, but I think you have to from what I understand, you have to get a fresh log, an oak log. And that involves chainsawing down some trees, which, in Shutesbury, I don't know, people aren't into taking down trees,
Yeah.
so we may
Yeah.
run into a little trouble with, the
Let's
conservation.
just proceed along and see how that develops. Because I think
Yeah.
this was about, if people were interested in growing their own mushrooms, kind of
Right.
know how to get started with it.
Yeah,
And
Well-
again, we have enough activities that this is not, the sole thing we're planning on doing.
right. And I could ask Helen Ann, who used to work
Oh.
at the Hitchcock Center,
Mhm.
and Colleen, they may know somebody. I'll hunt through them, see if they know somebody.
If it works out, that'll be great. And if it doesn't,
And we could, it could happen in the future. It sounds like we have a lot going on.
we do have a lot going on. And I think also we could, consider doing a sort of a mushroom hunt or whatever, but go out with
Yeah.
some in the fall would be a really
Well, the
nice.
woman Sam knows, I think that's what she does. She takes
Yeah.
people hunts in the fall.
Okay.
But-
Now the
okay.
so our other event is the kites. And that's happening on April 7th, 11 a.m. Town Common, is that right? And it's going to be combined with a kind of, I don't know how to put it, celebration of the eclipse that's being put together by Mary Ann, which is, kind of helping people make little boxes to safely view the eclipse. And then our kites are fit in very nicely with the theme of the sky. So, Sam, do you have it? I know you've been doing more with this than I have. I don't know if you have any.
I haven't done much. I just think I need to make sure it gets into the Road Town News.
Right.
And I tried putting up a sign in Town Common, but ironically it kept blowing away. So so I'm gonna have Andy try to really jam it in there because I was like, well, it's windy here. And
Funny.
so yeah, that's my only update, I guess.
We'll also send something out with the rec committee email. And I know that Mary Ann is also publicizing it. And now the kites, I was kind of half paying attention. So we are going to be supplying kites for those that need them, and people decorate them. Is that right? Were those the ones that we picked?
Yeah, I think so. I think we got ones you could decorate.
Oh, that's going to be
Should be
very cool. Sadly,
Yeah.
I'll miss it. Not sadly, I'll be in Italy for 2.5 weeks. So I'm not sad about that. I'm very excited about that. Never been. So Christine, you want to go or something? So I'm pretty excited about that, but I will not be here for that event, but I hope others will be able to. I know Samuel will be there, and I hope others will get hit by a desire to fly a kite. So, and Sam,
I was thinking on that nice logo that you did, Sam. We should maybe put some kites in the sky above the moose.
I like it.
That's a great idea.
The moose flying kite, kites flying, moose flying
I
kites.
like it.
We'll definitely be getting to the logo because I want to make sure we give it its due and thoroughly applaud Sam for such an incredibly great idea. Okay, so like I said, I didn't think this is not going to be a terribly long meeting. The major thing is getting the dates set up, but it looks like we're well on our way to getting that done. We can't set up the date for the second walk yet because we can't do it until the boardwalks are done. And the last time we talked, she said she thought it would probably be late May to mid-June. Actually, and then the bird watching one, that's the middle week of May. Is that right? Yeah, that's when it's whoever it was is Craig. I don't know, can't remember his name. Reed. Is it Craig Reed? Anyway, that's who she was going to be asking
Oh,
some.
Cliff Reed.
Cliff. I knew it started with a C. Yeah, Sam?
Quick question about, I guess, the kite thing is if you're not here and it's a rainy day, how do we cancel? What do we proceed? What are the proceedings to cancel it or
I think
reschedule it?
that would be through Mary Ann.
Marianne, okay,
Yeah,
sounds
and
good.
in fact, I think I'll put that in our email out that, check for an email from, and I'll actually ask Mary Ann, we can figure that out on Thursday. We can take a few minutes when we have our meeting for the rate.
She's out of town.
Oh, she's out of
I-
town. Okay,
Yeah,
I'll
for a
send
bit.
her a text then,
Okay,
or I
sounds
mean an
good.
email. Yeah,
Email. Sounds
Yeah.
good.
yeah. I mean, that's the nice thing about co-sponsoring things.
Yeah,
is,
just wanted to make sure there was some sort of a plan.
yeah, make sure we say something about
It
that.
wasn't just me with a sign in the rain saying canceled.
I kind of like that. There's a forlorn quality.
Like
to
that idea?
that. Okay, so
Did the,
let's,
did the egg hunt happen this weekend
It did.
how was it?
in the snow?
It was fine. It happened. It wasn't as bad as I thought it would be, but it was fine.
Keep your expectations.
I did not want to go out. I was not excited. I'll tell you to be out in that, but it was fine.
Mary Ann said there was a big turnout. She was pretty pleased.
Yeah, no, it was good. A lot of brave souls out there. Actually ended up being a nice day, and we would have just stayed in our house miserable if it wasn't there,
Yeah,
So it worked out.
so much nicer to be outside in the cold.
Be miserable with other people, so it's good.
Exactly. Okay, I just want to make sure that I've got, so the two events that are still kind of hanging are the bird watching and the second walk. Okay, and those are very straightforward to take care of. And then the mushrooms, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And we've got our dates for the moon, which is great. I mean, for the night sky. Okay, so I keep bringing this up, but I just want to make sure that we kind of give it some thought. So I put something into the Road Town News about the fact that I'm stepping down as chair and that the committee needs a chair, and a little bit about the kind of time that it's going to take, but I think it's going to have to be asking people. I mean, I'm not sure that that's really gonna, maybe it'll net people, but, there's something on our webpage about it as well. But I really kind of dependent, especially on those of you who have been around for a while, to identify and ask people who might be interested, because I just really don't know enough people in Shutesbury to be able to, identify somebody. Has anyone had any ideas of people?
Somebody asked me about being on the committee, and she was going to contact you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if she did.
No, not to my knowledge anyway.
Okay.
If we mention the 2-week trips to Italy that go along with being, I think we'll get a lot more applicants to say,
That all expense paid trip?
If I sign on now, do I get to go in April, Barbara? Can I be your vacation barnacle?
Fit in my suitcase with all my stuff, you're definitely to come. Okay, the logo. First, I just want to say.
Wait, sorry, Barbara, one thing on that. I wonder, would it be useful to just make like tiny little, a stack of slips of paper to have at the kite event that just say, like, interested in being chair, and then people could take it with them, that, the information that you put in Road Town News. I don't know, but
It wouldn't hurt. Yeah. Yeah. Sam, why don't you and I talk? I'm leaving on Monday, so my talking time is getting compressed, but I'll see you on Thursday. It's just basically whatever goes into the Road Town News, we should have in the email from the Recreation Committee should be on the little slip of paper so that there's consistency there. Yeah, good idea. I figured also somebody who it might be worthwhile getting a hold of Susie Mosier. She seems to often be the person who's knows everybody and gets people to do things, so she might be another person. I was trying to think of people who came to the pickleball and are probably still coming to the pickleball. And one woman, Libby, what is her last name?
To be last.
Yeah, her name keeps coming up. I don't know whether she'd be interested or not. I guess
Yeah,
Elaine knows her.
she would be, she's a good friend of Elaine's.
Okay, I'll ask Elaine about
And
that.
she worked at Amherst in town government, so she's a very organized, person.
Mhm.
And
Great,
she would be very good. She does a lot of stuff in town.
great. Okay, I'll follow up with Elaine about.
She's retired, you need to
Right,
retire.
yeah. And she's a very good pickleball player. Let me take a
Barbara,
look.
are you gonna stay on the committee, or are you just not wanting to be chair?
I just don't want to be chair anymore. Yeah, so I'll stay on the committee.
Okay,
Yeah, definitely.
just curious.
And I've
So,
done it, so I pass it on to Barbara, so.
that's right. I think Elaine is the person who first got me onto the committee. And then I was on the committee while you were chair. And then the next thing I know, I'm chair.
That's what happens. That's
So
what
watch out, Sam. Okay, so oh, here it is. I'm trying to share my screen here. Okay. So Sam approached me about, she asked, would the rec committee like a logo? And I thought, we never thought about that, but what a really, really cool idea. And then the next thing I know, Sam sent me this so I'm bringing it to all of you. And so one, how do you feel about having a logo? And two, kind of using this as a bouncing off point, how would we like that logo to look? So first, how do you feel about having a logo?
Sure.
Yeah?
Where
think
would we use it?
I think the idea would be like on flyers and stuff like that. It kind of came up when I was making the kite flyer with Marianne, because the library had a logo, but the rec committee didn't. So it looked
Yeah.
like a library event and not as much a rec committee event, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
I think we should get t-shirts or caps for our committee with this on. And I think it should be on the kites.
Oh,
By the rec committee. We're building our brand here in town.
I do think in the area behind the moose, it would be nice to have something. Either like our stargazing, like just some stars, like an Orion's belt or, something, or the kites. Like
I
it
love
just
the idea
feels
of the
like
kite. Yeah.
sort of fun to have something in the sky. And since we're having 2 sky events,
Mhm.
It
Yeah, I
would-
like the idea of
Yeah,
something.
I like that too.
I mean, it'd be simple to throw in some stars as opposed to drawing a kite, but I don't know. I don't want to,
Easy.
I don't want to add work to you because I really do like it the way it is too.
Mhm. Yeah, Sam,
I
I don't
can
want
add
to
that.
add work
I-
either, but I like the idea of the kites because it gives a bigger range of what the committee does. Like if it's stars, maybe people think we just go out in the woods and look for moose. Which we haven't done yet. We haven't done the moose walk yet.
Oh, that's true. Good point.
I'm sorry, yeah, so we,
No, I'm happy to make a couple different ones. I love doing this stuff. I like it.
Okay.
So I can do a couple different choices. No problem.
I just
Well-
thought it might be nice to have an activity, something,
Mhm.
you
I
know,
like it.
so it doesn't look like we're just going out and walking aimlessly in the woods.
Like moose playing pickleball or something.
Yeah. Oh, we could have pickleball. We could have a pickleball racket.
keep the pickleball out of this. We don't want to get in the business of the pickleball. The pickleball is now going along all on its little own with no interference from us at all. So we were very helpful in kind of giving them their little boost to get started, and now they're off doing their thing. Just want to go back to what Anne was saying about not wanting people to think that we were out walking in the woods looking for moose. But with the kites, are people going to think that all we do is go out and look for moose that are flying kites? I mean,
Let
And if we
them
put a
think
little
that.
beret on the moose, then it could be like the artist moose.
And some mushrooms. And some mushrooms.
That's
And
right.
the Leaning Tower of Pisa right behind it.
There you go.
Well, also, Barbara and Christine, Sam doesn't know about your plans to introduce pole dancing to town.
Oh, that's right.
I think she would have drawn something very different.
I'm very into that
No.
idea.
Yeah,
A
Christine and I have been
pole
working on.
dancing moose. That's great.
Yep, leave the pole dancing off of the logo. That's a good
I think
idea.
you could sell a lot of t-shirts that way.
There you go. The pole dancing moose. There you go.
Oh,
Fine.
that's very good.
Great. Well, fantastic. Sam, thank you so much for coming up with this idea, for
Thanks.
doing this, and it's just really wonderful. Appreciate it so much.
Sure.
Well, that is really all she wrote this month, because we've got our activities lined up and we, just have a few final touches that we have to do with that. The only thing that really needs to be done before I leave, which I will do, and then Sam, if I can share it with you, is just draft whatever that email is going to say from us. And I think that, and I'll talk to Elaine about the dates and about Libby Lass. Am I missing? I don't think I'm missing anything. Does anyone have anything else that they have a burning desire to bring up?
So Barbara, you're back for the April meeting?
Yes, I come back on the 17th.
Okay.
Tell us where you're going in Italy.
Where? I'm
Yeah.
going to be in Umbria for about 5 days and then in Rome for the rest of the time.
Wow. Are you traveling alone?
I have the most extraordinary travel arrangements. I have a very close friend who's fluent in Italian, lived in Italy for a while,
Oh my God.
and she and her husband have been wanting to take me to Italy for many years. COVID came, we didn't go, and now the time is here. And so we're going to be going. And we're being joined by a friend of theirs who I know her, but not well, who is an art curator at a museum. So I'm going to have their expertise of having lived in Rome. You would typically will stay and live in Rome for anywhere from 2 weeks to a month each year. So I'll have my personal guides, I'll have my art specialist, and my very close friends, both of whom are composers. One of them won this very prestigious Rome Award, and they're living in Rome with all their room and board paid for a year. And so I get to see them. Now, doesn't that sound amazing?
It sounds amazing.
It's gonna be amazing.
Are
Wow.
you coming home?
No. You found
We're-
out why I don't want to continue as chair.
We're
I'm
never going to
staying.
see you again.
Hey, you can Zoom from Italy. That's not a problem.
Yeah, no, it's pretty extraordinary. I just feel so fortunate because they're all lovely people, and I feel like I have this entourage, and it's all there to keep me informed and up to date. And
Yeah.
and my friend Margaret, her call to fame is she knows all the best restaurants. She's very, very, very into food. So
Good.
yeah.
You are blessed and they are blessed. Have fun.
Oh golly, I sure will. I really
Yeah,
will.
a great one. Is our next meeting the 23rd or the 30th?
It's whatever the 4th.
Okay, 23rd then.
Yeah.
Okay, are we adjourning at
Yeah,
4:35?
so is there a move to adjourn? Okay, and all those in favor, raise your hand. Okay, and so we are adjourning at 4:35, and that was approved unanimous.